Hello there. I want to talk about knife storage. Um, there are generally two types of knife storage that you will see most commonly in use. One of them is the block. It's a wooden block usually, although I've seen plastic ones. But it sits on the counter and all of the knives fit in that block. And you just reach over there, you walk over there to your counter when you need a knife, you pull it out of the block to use it. Clean it off, put it back in the block. The other thing that is common that I would see is the magnetic strips that attach to the wall. I've even seen people attach them to their refrigerator. And the knife, you take the knife, and the knife blade is magnetically attached to that strip. And you just, when you get done using your knife, you just stick them back up on that magnetic strip. I don't like either one of those options. Firstly, because the knives are open. Particularly the magnetic strip, if you've got small children or if you're like me and you're clumsy, you can bump into that and not realize that you could possibly do that. And that blade is open. And your knives are sharp like they're supposed to be. You could cut yourself. And a dull knife is useless. So one of the other common things that I see in people's homes when I visit and stuff like that is that they've got all their knives shoved into a drawer. Now, I like the idea of a drawer or some other enclosed space for my kitchen knives because they're not accessible immediately to anybody but me. And I can more control who touches my knives, that kind of deal. So I prefer an enclosed environment. The problem with that is that most people that I see will shove all of their knives in a drawer together. Okay, so if you're like that and there's nothing that's protecting those knives, when you open and close the drawer, and you'll open and close it fast, trust me, you will. When you're working in the kitchen and stuff, you'll sling that door open and go rummaging in there for your knives. First of all, if your knives are sharp, like they're supposed to be, okay, that's a tool. You should give it the respect to keep it sharp and maintain it because it feeds your family. It helps you to feed your family, okay? But if they're sharp and you're shoving your hand in there half the time probably without looking because you're preoccupied, it's a possibility you might cut yourself, but that's not as prevalent as the fact that the edges can get damaged from banging together. Okay, I'm fully persuaded that most of the time people don't get cut when they shove their knives in the drawer because their knives are dull like a butter knife and they ain't worth worrying about because they're not going to cut you, because they're not going to cut anything else either. So you have to protect the edge of that knife, otherwise they will smack together and the spine of this knife will put dings in the edge of this knife or vice versa. Okay, that's incredibly disrespectful for something that you need to be sharp and right and ready when you reach for it. So there are a couple of options. This is option one. These are called blade guards, blade protectors. There's two particular styles I want to look at. This is a paper style. These are common. They are more common than any other type that I know of. And I use these on my kitchen knives. You can get these for like 40 cents a piece or something like that. Okay, from Amazon. They're well worth the investment, and they will protect the edge of your knife. If you don't have a whole lot of money or don't want to spend a lot of money, these work perfectly fine. But there's another kind. You might want to, if you have the money to do it, or if you have a really nice knife that you want protected. This is a Victorinox. It's, I assume, made to fit their chef knife, their 8-inch chef, but this would protect any knife up to about 8 inches in length that you wanted. Victorinox calls it a blade safe, but they come under various names, and you can get some that are really expensive and some that are less so. But it's basically just a plastic case that covers the blade of the knife and keeps it safe. If you have really nice knives, or if you can afford something better or more than something like this, these are well worth the money. But you should never put your knives in a drawer or any other enclosed space with a bunch of other blades, even one other blade, where they are loose and they can bang together and cause issues with the edges. If you have really good knives, this is a good investment. But this works as well. Just find some way to protect that edge so that it's not damaged where you're storing it. That's important, and you need to know that going in, because the worst thing you can do is put them in a drawer somewhere where they're not protected. You just will not have them if they're going to be all chewed up by the time you reach for them. Listen, if you want serrated knives, buy serrated knives, but if this knife dings up against this knife and along that edge, it'll have teeth, and teeth that are bad and don't cut properly and all of that. So these are the two options that are out there that I know of. I recommend that you choose one or the other, or both, depending on what you've got, and protect your knives. Later.